All right, well, I won't take up too much of your time today, but I do appreciate you having a meeting with me and letting me hear some of your story. So I was just
Yeah.
hoping that you could give a little bit of a background on your company, how it started, where it started, and then kind of go into how FACE has helped you take on that next step, like the FACE loan that you received.
Okay. Do you want me to just reel out, or you want to ask a question and then I address it? Just tell me how you want it.
You can reel it out. Let's have it.
Okay. Well, I came to Canada uh, at a relatively older phase of my life. So when I became a permanent resident in 2021, I knew that I needed to, one, there's relative safety here. If you put an investment down, you are not afraid that someone else is going to harvest it or someone else is going to wait for you on your way to your business. So um, I spent my after my graduation in 1984, I spent all my life working in the public service. So it took me away from my passion, which was basically entrepreneurial. I started my entrepreneurial journey at the age of 13. So when I became a permanent resident in 2021, all that began to rush back. Felix, you are in a safe country. Why don't you go back to your first love? And I looked at the options because before I came from Nigeria, I was in the private sector. The past between 2010 and when I finally came to Canada in 2017. So I I was in the private sector, so that kind of began to rejig my interest in entrepreneurship because that company that I managed, it was a marine service company. I wasn't the owner. I was headhunted, specific to deliver on starting the company and getting it to do the job for the oil and gas sector. So we had a fast support boat and three barges and one tugboat. I ran it successfully, paid a debt of $4 million, for them. Not for me, it was for them. I paid it in 2 years. So with all that, I said, but Felix, you need to help yourself. Go back to your old dream. And that was how I decided, okay, all the factors seem to be converging on me going back to entrepreneurship. And that was why I decided to think of things to do. Now, thinking of things to do was pretty difficult because here is a place of regulation. Where I'm coming from, all you need to do is just incorporate your company. Even if you don't incorporate, you can start and you will be able to get your business running. But here, the paperwork is thick, and so I sat back, and that was how I asked questions. What is the pain point? Where can I start that is a green area? And that was how I found myself testing the waters with the dried cod fish from Norway because it wasn't here. And to the credit of that dream, I still don't see any product of dried cod, you know, coming close to what we produce from our small factory here because it's high quality codfish that we have and cutting it into the steaks in those sizes that we cut, you don't find it. So there is very strong interest in it because we've been testing the market for the past 6 months after all the troubles I had with where to stay, they're chasing me out and all that. I'm sure you have a little bit of the background. So that was how I zeroed in on dried cod because it was a specialty thing. It was not a well-worn territory, and that was what saw me doing that. But I discovered when the tire hit the road that because it's a high value product, the consumer's budget for it is small, and therefore it slowed down my expected turnover. In addition to all the other logistical problems that I had, so that what got me thinking again. Okay, you can't shut down because this is a thing you must win. So what do you do? That was how I now branched into primary agric. I first started by taking training because I knew that farming is going to be a pretty new territory for me. So I went to Association of New Canadians and took a 6 month long training with them, not full time, was part time because I needed the background issues to be addressed and the know-how. And but really, where my mind is aquaculture. I'm just testing the waters with arable crops. The day I can tell you that my fish pond is up and running, that's the day I'll gradually begin to retire, and that should be in another 2.5 years.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's so interesting. Like agriculture, especially in the fishing industry, isn't something that I'm super familiar with. I know how to market agriculture, but I don't know any of the science or technology behind it. So good for
Okay.
you for taking the time to,
Yeah.
go through the programs and educate yourself and still hold down a job and do it later in life. And you said you paid back $4 million in 2 years with your other
Yes.
company?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
insane. Well done.
Well, I, I would say because it was in the oil and gas sector,
Hmm.
the day rate for vessels is pretty high, especially in
Okay.
West Africa. We bought that boat for about $2 million, and before I became the managing director, the role was bifurcated. I was an executive director in charge of finance and admin because they thought that that was where I had my skill set,
Yep.
and then there was another person in charge of operation, but you know, he messed the whole place up. And when I became managing director in 2011, that was December, my chairman was traveling out of Nigeria, and he said, "Felix, from now on, this company is your baby. You go run it. That Don has been fired." And so I took it up as a challenge, and you know, the rest, like they say, is history. Not because I'm a magician, but I've always had a problem-solving attitude, in life, and I got back to Port Harcourt, which was our base from Lagos, by road. We didn't have money to even buy my plane ticket. I got back there by road, not even in my own car, in a public transportation. If you have a Nigerian background, you will know how difficult it is to navigate the road from Lagos to Port Harcourt. But then the roads were good, the security situation was good at
Hmm.
that time. That was 2010. But I got there. The company was threatening to off hire the equipment.
Hmm.
So I took it. My first port of call was to meet with the transport manager in Agip. The name of the company is Agip. It's a member of the ENI group, which is the Italian oil conglomerate. So I took meeting with transport manager. I said, "Look, I'm a new fellow on the block." He says, "Yes, I know you. I see you around, but every day your vessel keep breaking down with the Italian accent." And I said, "Okay, give me a chance." And he went and consulted, and they said, "Okay, give him up to May." That was January. I took over in December. First week of January, I found my way to Port Harcourt, and I called the accountant. "What is it that's in the works? Do we have any payments in the pipeline?" He says, "Yes. There are some jobs we did before the equipment broke down." So I went to the bank, negotiated with the bank. "Please don't take everything. We need to fix this boat if you expect us to pay back the 4 million we are owing you," because the project was now very many months in arrears in debt service. So they were trying to sell the boat and sell the house that we pledged. So I said, please don't. Just give me a few months. I'm also new on the block. And they said, okay, Felix, we'll take your word for it. And they decided that they were not going to take every payment that came in. They will allow us some small window to fix the boat. And that was how I went. Again, from there, 3 or 4 stakeholders now. I've met the contract end user, and I have to go to the bank. Then I went to the technical people, the owners of the equipment, that is the manufacturers of the engines on board. And I took a meeting with them too. And they told me they already had a contract with my predecessor for some very huge amount that we didn't have. And I told them, okay, you know what? You take care of the engines. You are Cummins. You take care of the engines. There are 5 Cummins engines. You fix the engines for me. Leave the jet propulsion for me. I'm just trying to get you to understand the various strata that I had to navigate to be able to get that accomplished. Not because I'm a magician. So I kind of disaggregated the problems and attacked them one after the other. So I finished the contract end user. I finished with the bank. The bank agreed, as money comes in, we will make provision for you to fix your boat. And then I went to the technical people. Look, 50 million naira at that time, 50 million naira was like between 250 and $500,000 in terms of budget. That was what my predecessor had agreed with them to fix the boat. I said, you know what? You just do the engine. Leave the jet propulsion for me, because the boat is a jet propelled boat. Leave it for me. And I found an engineer that can fix the propulsion side of the ship for a fraction. So at the end of the day, a budget of 50 million at that time in our local currency, we got the job done for less than 10 million. So we saved more than 40. And for during the next, we got the boat fixed at the end of April. So by May 1, we steamed back into Ajib Jetty. We had done the dry dock, we have finished with the engines, done the dry dock, and eventually did the fixing of the jets. And we steamed back into Ajib Jetty, and the boat started working. For 2 years, it didn't drop one day. How did we do it? Yeah, how did we do it? We cut a deal with our technical crew. As the boat is coming in to Ajib Jetty to drop goods from the deep offshore location, your job, all the things we need to lubricate the engines, to fix any broken part, we assemble them. As soon as the boat enters the jetty and parks, the maintenance crew is on board. So before they turn around, Ajib puts new goods so they can go back to offshore. The maintenance work's done. All the engine has been lubricated, everything done. We didn't drop one day in 24 months. That was how we're clocking $6,500 per day. And before we knew it, we took out the debt.
That's amazing. You are quite the resourceful individual, and I can see why entrepreneurship suits you so well.
Well, it's been difficult here.
100%,
I
I'm
won't lie
sure.
to you. I won't lie to you. It's been slightly more difficult than I expected.
Yeah.
But there was one thing I took from my initial meeting with Face, and that was credit to your man. I can't remember his name now.
Rodney?
Rodney, that's
Yeah.
my man.
He's the real deal.
That guy is a wizard in this matter.
Yes, he
He told
is.
me, Felix, I think you need to earn a little more than you're currently earning, because while this project is going through its teething phase, you are going to be on the hook. So that got me the kick to look for the second job to hold. And I actually changed one other job and
Mm-hmm.
got a slightly higher pay. So I had not had two jobs I was holding down. Otherwise, by now you will have been on my case for default. So
Fair
Rodney
enough.
gave me the heads up, and I knew that I couldn't afford to
Mm-hmm.
default. So, uh, a great deal of credit to him. So but
Good.
otherwise, it's been a territory I'm used to. I know how to work without
Yeah,
money. And that's a critical requirement for entrepreneurship, your
100%.
ability to work in the absence of liquidity.
Yep.
And that's what we have been doing. But things are gradually looking up. And hopefully, by the end of this summer, when the farm income comes on stream,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be in much better financial state.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about when you came to Face, what brought you to Face, when you got the loan and what
Yeah.
you used the loan for?
Yes, the loan was for working capital because I already had my equipment. I had bought my
Mm-hmm.
equipment. I had bought, had rented the place. So I needed working capital to place the order for the first batch of stockfish to process. So
Mm-hmm.
we had the packaging machine already in place. We had the sawing equipment, that is the bandsaw, the food grade bandsaw that we needed to run. We had it in place, but I didn't have money to place order for the dried codfish coming from Norway. And that was what took me to Face. I actually was consulting far and wide, and somebody gave me a lead that I should, try Face. And I tried them, and indeed, they were very forthcoming.
Awesome. That's so good. So
Yeah.
what's next steps for you? I read some of your projected goals on your website. Can
Yeah.
you give, because this is gonna go live, can you give us an idea of what the business is, where the business is headed? What are some goals of yours?
Yes. If I knew what I know now, I probably would have spent your money buying an ice cream production plant from India. I'm sorry.
Ice
That's
cream?
Yes, that's right. Yes. Ice
Okay.
cream. Yeah. Yeah, because you see, a consumer item that doesn't tear a hole in the pocket of the consumer is an easier route to the wallet of the consumer than a very expensive product like dried codfish.
Yep.
Now, to give you an example, the entire equipment equipment cost that I'm getting from India for 500-liter um, ice cream, ice cream plant, complete plant, is not up to $25,000. Now, any entrepreneur listening to me can check it out. I'm not telling anything fantastic, but I have bought Indian equipment in the past, and I know that the equipment durable, extremely durable, and they deliver a high quality product. I'm not advertising India. So um, anybody who's listening to me can, take it as a business idea. And so going back to your question, the end point is for us to become an aquaculture business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still related to fish,
Mm-hmm.
but we will not be selling codfish coming from Norway in another 5 years.
Okay.
And for that, we plan to set up a fish farm. I know the regulatory side of it is going to be a steep climb. For instance, the regulatory cost to deliver this project that will have enabled me to sell outside Newfoundland to Ontario, to Manitoba, to Alberta, it cost me about $10,000 to get a consultant to give me the HACCP plan that's acceptable to CFIA. Just the regulatory documentation, a HACCP plan.
Wow.
Without a HACCP plan, you can sell food or food-related item across provincial borders. And that was my goal with stockfish, which is dried cod.
Yep.
So I will still have to do that if I am producing aquaculture products, salmonids, for instance. So what I plan to do is, as I make money from arable crops, I will be putting my documentation together. And by the end of this year, I plan to apply for a lease to a provincial land and facility that was related to livestock production.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that they will give me that lease. If not, I'll look for some other location, like I did with regard to the arable crops that we are branching into now. I'll hit the road, and I'm sure I'll find a place. So if I get that and get the license in place, I'm looking at in 3 years that we should have a fish farm, land-based fish farm. Don't forget the federal government is phasing out. We can't even afford the ocean-based fish farm. So that one is in the millions of dollars by way of budgets. But land-based recirculating aquaculture to produce salmonids, either with producing trout or Arctic char. That's where I see this company in another 3 years. And for that, I have gone to the Marine Institute, and I've got their 3 certificates for production of aquaculture, introduction to aquaculture, introduction to salmonid aquaculture, and introduction to sea plant and fish production. So, but that's really where I would say I have arrived at my final destination. If I have a pond that has 80,000 fish, you can work out the numbers yourself, even at
Yep.
$3 or $4. From each fish, you get 2 fillets. And each fillet, if I sell the fish whole, I sell it much cheaper than if I create fillet,
Yep.
which is a higher value product.
Yep.
So if I don't have the license to cut and produce the fillet, I can just do whole round and I will still be in good business. So that's where I want to be in 3 years.
That's awesome. I look forward to hearing more when your pond of 80,000 fish is up and going. I'm just picturing this pond of 80,000 fish in my head, and it's fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's a difficult road. I don't
Absolutely.
underestimate the kind of hurdles that I will face, but that's my ultimate goal. If I have that, and then I'm a fulfilled person.
Okay, cool. Well, do you
Yeah.
have any final pieces of advice for entrepreneurs who are coming up behind you, or anything else you'd like to add to this?
Yes, quickly. This environment is pretty unfriendly to older entrepreneurs, and that
Okay.
was my first shock, where many of the programs were telling me, "Oh, if you are above 30, you don't qualify to come in here." So it's unfriendly. So if you are an older entrepreneur, you have to now go outside the box and think on how to kickstart your project. Okay, and that's one. The other one is for upcoming entrepreneurs. Think very hard and fast about what you are putting into the market. Now, when you do your numbers, they can look pretty rosy, but when the tire hits the road, it can be difficult. So look for, which is where I talked about ice cream last
Yep.
time. Look for what is not going to give you too much hassles, but at the same time has uh, uh, um, a strong consumer appeal. All right. Yeah, I know ice cream is a summer thing, but I see that in the summer, everybody wants to cool the heat of the body. And also, the cost of producing ice cream is on the low side. Apart
Yep.
from your HACCP requirement and your hygiene requirement, the cost is on the low side. Milk. If Canadian milk, because of our production, what do they call it? Supply, is it? Can't remember this thing that controls the dairy industry, that controls production. Is it supply management system? I think that's what they call it. The one that says, oh, in Newfoundland, you can only, if you have anything more than 99 chickens, you have to shut down. If you are raising chickens and you have 99 plus one, you must shut down, because at that time, the supply management system catches up with you. You can raise more than 99 chickens without license in Finland. So that's the kind of thing that greets an entrepreneur. There's a high regulatory environment. So I would say, as much as you can, think of a product that will not create issues for you. Think of a product that will not tear a hole in the wallet of the consumer, and think of a product that's easy to make. Yeah, so that's by way of advice to upcoming entrepreneurs. I chose a
Very good
hard one,
advice.
and it was hard, really hard. I
Yep.
brought my first stock of fish just to test in the laboratory before I brought the major stock, which was financed by money. And that was when the other tenants in the complex, chased me out. They said they don't want the smell of fish in
Yep.
that entire complex. I ended up paying rent $1,300 every month for 12 months for nothing, because I only got my license. I need to have the space before I can apply for the license. And when I got the license, I was going to import my very first batch. The neighbors drove me out because they said they don't want fish aroma in their environment. So these are all things I never bargained for. And that's why I'm saying, look for an easy to make product or service, and look for a product that won't tear a hole in the wallet of the consumer. Yeah. Once you
That's
have
great
those two,
advice.
yeah, once you have those two, you are ready. But it's still a difficult job though. You
Yep.
have to have staying power. If I didn't have staying power, I would have fled, and you probably would have had an ugly story from me.
Fair enough. Well, that is very good advice. Thank you. It's
Thank you very
doing
much.
your
Thank
market
you.
research is very important, and that's
It's
pretty
very, very
much what you
important.
hit
Yes.
on. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your story with me today. I look forward to being able to share this with all the other entrepreneurs that are going to watch it and read it. And thank you so much, Felix, for all the work that you put in for the community. And I can't wait to see where your business goes.